Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a lot to talk about today. We'll be joined by Buddy Martin here momentarily. Second portion of the show, we'll be joined by Lamar Thomas, former Miami Hurricane. He just participated in their Miami's Legends football camp, where they kind of run the camp down there with Mario Cristobal. We'll get his thoughts on the money that the Canes are spending, and just talk to Lamar, just get his thoughts as well. Good morning to you guys out in Dallas and everywhere else. If you missed it last night, I guess the big news, obviously the Gators, we'll talk about some of the kids that have committed. They got a 4-star DB out of Bartram Trail over in St. Johns County who is committed to the Gators. So things are going well, but Trinity Thomas, the all-world gymnast, is coming back for her 5th year, if you missed that. So that's great news for Jenny Rowland and the gymnastics program. As many people say, she may be the best athlete on campus. No question about that. Like I said, there ain't a whole lot else going on in the sports world, but we'll be joined by Buddy Martin here momentarily. Evan, have we got a hold of him yet? No, we have not. Okay. John says, ask Lamar how much they paid Rashad. I will. Lamar probably has no idea, but we'll find out. Let me see where Buddy is. If you missed it too, hockey is over. The only thing going right now is Major League Baseball, pretty much, in the WNBA, if you care about that. But not a whole lot going on. I did see, but as I mentioned, the Gators have signed a couple of kids that are committed in the 23 class that you got to be excited about. None of this hoopla about money, whatever. I don't know if y'all saw the reports. Jaden Rashada came out on Twitter and said he did not choose Miami due to an NIL deal. It was because of his relationship with the coaching staff. That's the biggest bunch of BS I've ever heard in my life. I still don't know how to work out. I mean, kids that come all the way across the country usually don't work out. As we have mentioned on this show, who have the Gators signed from the state of California that ever worked out? Really hasn't. And some sad news, I wanted to bring this up if I can find it. Gator great James Massey passed away, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, from Jefferson County. He set state records for rushing. It was before I became a Gator. Don't know much about him. I believe he was in a car accident, but our thoughts and prayers go out to James Massey, former Gator. I think he got here in or he graduated in 86 maybe. So if anybody knows much about James Massey and what kind of player he was, but yeah, our thoughts and prayers go out to him. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, with Denson committing yesterday, calmed the fans down from grabbing their pitchforks and lighting their torches. I guess. Sharif Denson is, as I said, the 4-star DB out of Bartram Trail. Look, maybe it's just because it's the quarterback. But again, like I said yesterday, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but you get these quarterbacks that are signed. I mean, Arch Manning supposedly is the #1 player in America, and we know the family comes from. It was just like, bam, I'm committed to Texas. It was no hoopla. This it's just been ridiculous, this Jaden Rashada deal, quite honestly. So we'll talk more about that with Lamar Thomas. Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, what do I think of Gavin Hill committing? What do you think of his game? Very good player, good kid. Had a lot of offers. Plays right there in Gainesville. Mark Whittemore obviously is his head coach. He's got his son, two boys going to be Gators. His mom was his wife, I should say, was a Gator volleyball player. So keeping good players here. So many good players have gotten out of Gainesville. But yeah, Gavin Hill is a very athletic kid. He will grow, but I think it's great that he committed. People should tell. I don't know where Buddy is. We got a couple of Facebook lives in the meantime here. Marissa asked, any Gators playing at Wimbledon or any SEC players? I don't think so. I do not follow tennis. That's one sport I don't. I'll watch a little bit of it, but I do not follow it. Cliff says he played against James Massey in high school. Cliff, did you ever tackle him? Obviously not if he had the state rushing record. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellow Law, hope Arch has the same record against UF as Peyton. Well, let's see. When are they supposed to come into the league? In 25? So Arch will be a true freshman in 23. He may not even be playing. We don't even know. Quinn Ewers is slated to be the starter. He could do it for 3 or 4 years. Andy says Buddy had a tree. Yeah, Buddy did have a tree fall in his house, but he was still supposed to tune in today. We've already talked about that. But things come up, and maybe he will tune in, maybe not. In the meantime, Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com or give them a call at 352-240-1779. Text on the Titan MR text line from James. James says, Shane, I cannot believe Rashada turned down $11 million from the Gators and only took 9.5 from the Miami Hurricanes. James, that ain't true. You can't believe everything you read. First of all, I mean, it seems like I'm a broken record. Keep talking about it's nonsense that they pay these guys, but it really is. He did not get $9.5 million from us or Miami. It's all fabricated by the damn guy out in California, his agent. And it's a shame that they said, okay. Anyway, it's a shame. I got to respond to this. Sorry, folks. But he did not get that. That money was not offered, and it will never be offered by us. And if anybody pays any kid coming out of high school that kind of money, they need to check themselves. NFL guys don't make that much money. And then don't get me on that today. Scott says, Shane, what do you think of Arch as a quarterback? He only had 61 completion rate year, 8.1 yards per attempt. That's not exactly said in the film. I don't know, Scott. I've never watched him play. Obviously, the bloodlines are there. He's got the stature. He doesn't play in a great league. I mean, it's a private league over there. I don't know if they play public schools or not, but Peyton and Eli both played there as well. So they turned out pretty damn good. I think time will tell, but he's got everything you need in a quarterback. He's probably pretty smart and understands the game. Now that I'm not saying Jaden Rashada doesn't, but again, you know, it's what I say that if I'm looking at quarterbacks, I'm looking at their feet. What kind of footwork do they have? And do they throw completions, and can they make decisions? And I don't care if a guy can throw it 60, 70, 80 yards. That means nothing in the game of football. Dan says the Gator Collective said his lawyer is shady. Well, there's no question about that. There's a lot of shady stuff going on with that kid. And it's probably a good thing he didn't come here, because it would be it's going to be one of these deals where if he's sitting on the bench, what are they going to do? Text from Daryl on Titan MR text line. Good morning, Shane. I hope we don't get into a bidding war for college football players. I don't think we will. I personally don't think the big boys have to do that, because good players, if you're a really good player and you want to compete, you're going to go to the schools that are playing for championships. And that's why, and I could be wrong about this, but if you look on social media or whatever, you don't hear people in bidding wars to go to Alabama or in bidding wars to go to Georgia or Clemson or Ohio State. Now, A&M you have, but they haven't won anything. These other teams that have won, kids want to go to these good established programs. So That's just my 2 cents. That's just my opinion. I could be 100% wrong, but I think it's all going to work its way out when these people are getting whatever dollars they're getting. If you want to believe it, the people paying them are not going to see a return on their investment, and they're going to shut it down. Lauren Meadows says in 2024, Rashad is Gator bait. It's just that simple. Do we play Miami in 2024? Lauren, you know what's interesting? He may not be their quarterback. I don't know why people think he's penciled in as their starter. We'll talk to Lamar Thomas about it as well, see what he thinks. Obviously, they think the kid's talented. Everybody thinks he's talented, but how many of those talented guys have you seen like that and never pan out? So we shall see. Wes says, I think UF is handling the NIL correctly. Look, we're doing it like everybody else, other than, like I told you, there's pretty much 2 schools that are trying to get their name out in public, and that's Tennessee and Miami. So there you have it. If you got joint pain in your knee, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Give them a call. I need to go see them. My shoulders have been bothering me as well. I got another text on the Titan MR text line. And don't forget, we're going to have Lamar Thomas join us at 8:30. Talk a little Miami Hurricanes, talk about his career, what he's up to these days. The text is from Sharon. She says, I'm a diehard Gator. I am behind Coach Billy Napier and his staff 100%. I think they're doing a tremendous job for the short time that they have been here. I agree. And there's some of these people that are on Twitter that think they know it all. Like I said yesterday, look, if you know how to recruit, if you know how to coach football, maybe you're in the wrong profession. Maybe you should go to be a GA somewhere and get in the profession if you have all the answers. But for these people that think that the Florida Gators are going to just open up a checkbook and write checks for football players to come to school here, you're rooting for the wrong school. And I don't agree with that 100% either. I just don't believe in that. I don't think they believe in it. And you can get good football players that want to come there. And yes, they will make money through name, image, and likeness the way it's supposed to be, not buying players. Again, that's my opinion. You guys may be listening, or that are listening may think different, but I don't think so at all. Let's get to this day in sports, which is brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat and schedule your air conditioner's tune-up today, keeping you chill and the Florida heat far away. Comfort Tip Heating and Air, 352-376-2366. This day in sports, in 2012, NBA draft, Kentucky center Anthony Davis became the first pick for the New Orleans Pelicans. And the same day, in 2007 at the NBA draft, remember big Ohio State center Greg Oden? He was the first pick by the Portland Trail Blazers. Injuries never worked out. So that's a prime example right there. Very good player, just never panned out. I also want to mention to our listeners, starting next week, we will not have shows on Wednesdays until August 17th. We're just going to do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays until August 17th, and then we'll pick up 5 days a week. But we will still have like a best of show on those Wednesdays for you to watch, which will be outstanding. We'll do, like some players from the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, a Heisman Trophy show, things like that. So just we'll mention that every day, but starting next week, no shows on Wednesday until August 17th. Okay, Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law. Never heard or read so many Einsteins who never have shown their faces around Florida's football criticizing Billy Napier for being incompetent before he's coached a game, including some dude himself, Greg, who trashed me on Fine Ball. Oh, this is Buddy. Buddy can't join us, but he's quoting on the show. So yeah, Buddy, don't let those people ruffle your feathers. Have thick skin. Andy says, has anyone heard of Jack Miller's making any progress with the game and the playbook to be a legitimate backup? I have zero problems with Jack Miller being the backup, Andy. You can't read into what happened in that I mean, he played pretty well, actually. He forced a couple balls. Backups usually do that, trying to make something happen. But he knows he is our best pure thrower on the football team. He won't be our starter. And don't start tweeting me about Anthony can throw the ball 70 yards and do this and do that. From a physical, fundamental throwing accuracy, Jack is way ahead of him there. Anthony has a lot of ability, and hopefully he will have a really good year. Chris says, Shane, with banker hours now. Yeah, I'm taking Wednesdays off. Well, there's nothing to talk about. Like, we're just sitting here rambling today, Chris. There's nothing to talk about in the summertime, especially with hockey being over, College World Series is over. There's just sports, just ain't a whole lot going on. Dan says, no JC weigh-ins from Publix on Wednesday. No, not at all. So we got rid of JC for one day of the week until August 17th. I'm just curious what our listeners think. Well, I'm going to get back to the NIL. That's the only thing to talk about right now is the nonsense of the name, image, and likeness. I'm going to get a point of view from a former player at Miami, Lamar Thomas, when he comes on. But just whatever you guys, I don't know if you guys think, like a lot of people on Twitter that are bitching and complaining, the Gators aren't paying our players to come be Gators. Chris says Jack was throwing to the backup wide receivers against the first team defense. Banker hours was a joke. I know, Chris. Look, Jack's going to be a solid backup, and we'll see. And, what's interesting is, so on scholarship quarterbacks, we got AR, Jack Miller, you got Kitna, and then I think Max Brown. So will they? They're not going to sign anybody. They may sign somebody for 2023. We don't know. So time will tell. Another text here on the Titan MR text line. This is from Bobby. Bobby says, hey, Shane, I know you love golf. What is your favorite major to watch with the British Open coming up? Oh, it's a good question. I like them all. I think the U.S. Open, they make it extremely hard. Augusta, I love Augusta, but it's those holes, and the players know those holes so well. But I have a new appreciation back in 2007 or 2008 when I took a trip to Scotland with the Mannings, by the way. There for a week. I used to hate the British Open. I used to hate watching it. But until you go over there and play, you get an appreciation for how difficult it is. And it's just a totally different way of playing golf. So answer your question, I would go U.S. Open because of how hard they make it. Then I'd probably say Masters, British, and then the PGA would be last for me. Let's see here. Max Brown could be a sleeper. Well, we'll see. We quarterback. Let's don't worry about quarterback. We need dudes that can score touchdowns. So, speaking of that, Bowman, the running back who transferred to the Gators from Clemson, highly touted out of Lakeland High School, is now transferred to UCF. If you missed that, he will be a Golden Knight. He will not be eligible to play this year. It's too late. He's already got his free transfer. So I don't know how many years he'll have left, but he will be playing for Gus Malzahn and the UCF Knights. Wes says, we just got 3 4-stars. Coach is doing a great job. Support Billy 100%. Yeah, I don't know what these people, I guess people think because you're supposed to have a really good track record for recruiting, which he does. He's got a blueprint. I think people forget that Florida, again, it goes back to kids want to go where they can play and win football games. And we haven't had last year was a disaster. In the previous 2 years, we won 10 games or more. But it's going to take time. And I've said it and I will preach it. I think year 3, he will have a roster that is SEC caliber. Joseph says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, QB don't jump on the AR train once the season starts and he balls it. Look, I'm pulling for the kid 110%. I know him. I coached against him for 3 years. They're going to keep it so simple for him, and that's what they need to do, where he doesn't have to read defenses. I told you, they're going to throw the ball deep, which is the safest thing in all of football to do, is throw the ball deep. Then they're just going to do RPOs, which is a run-pass option, not him running it. RPO is either the running back runs the ball or quarterback pulls it and throws it. That's what you saw in the spring game. We ran inside zone. If he didn't like it, he pulled it and threw the slant behind the outside defender's ear. That's what he did that's what they did the entire game. And then they will do some zone read to utilize his running ability. That's what you're going to see from the Florida Gators. You're going to see run between the tackles, RPO, throw the ball deep. There ain't going to be a whole lot of intermediate reading stuff. I can promise you that. Dan says Urban's first year was only a number 15 class. People need to settle down. Yeah, and the world was different too, because you didn't have to deal with the legally paying players and all the nonsense going on. Andy says, for what it's worth, we picked up a 5-star long snapper from Fort Mill, South Carolina, Gannon Burt. Yeah, he's a preferred walk-on. He's supposed to be the number 1 long snapper in America, and that's good. Marshall says, because AR can't make those intermediate. Yeah, he's not an accurate passer. And, the problem is people, they get on Twitter and they get enamored by him throwing it 70-something yards at the Manning passing attack. We all know he can do that. But again, I told you, there will never be a ball thrown 70 yards in a football game unless it's the last play of the game and it's a Hail Mary. Plays are not designed to do that. Deep balls are completed. They've done studies year after year after year. Deep balls are completed at between 44 and 48 yards. So anyway, let's do this. Let's get a quick timeout. We're going to come back. Going to make sure we got Lamar, which I do. I've already texted him this morning, but we're going to get him about 8:30. But because we're going to probably end the show with Lamar. Don't forget that we will not have a show on Wednesday starting next week, but we will have a best of program for you to watch, because I know you guys cannot get through your day without watching our program. Let's take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll get to more of these Facebook Lives and text messages on the Titan MR text line.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry you. In the market to buy or sell your home, Doreen Weeby, a realtor from Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, and reliable service. Give her a call, 352-562-1411, to help your dreams come true. We'll have Lamar Thomas about 8:30ish talking Miami Hurricane football. Got a text here on the Titan Mark text line from Phil. Phil says, with the transfer portal and a supposedly better playing AR, does it even matter that we didn't land a top QB recruit? Really doesn't. Doesn't matter to me. Because I'd rather get a guy the transfer portal that I've seen play a little bit. I just think it's too risky these days. And, here's what's going to sell and get a quarterback to come here. Anthony Richardson has to play well and win games. If that happens, quarterbacks will want to come play for Billy Napier. Simple as that. Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Devin says, Shane, what are your thoughts on the boy that was on the official visit here and a couple of hours later committed to FSU? Do you think they're paying players too? They're probably doing something. They don't have the money we have. Yeah, that was bizarre. And I talked about it yesterday, Devin. Now, what caught my eye on Twitter was this dude plays offensive line. And you know how you go take your pictures in the jerseys, doing all the poses and stuff? The dude was wearing number 7. You cannot wear number 7 and play offensive line. So that right there, that was a red flag for me that kid was wearing number 7 in all his pictures. Made no sense. Joseph says, Buddy's fired up about the guy calling a fine mom about him. Yeah, we'll have to get we need to get that guy and Buddy on my show and let them battle it out. That would be interesting. Marshall says, sorry, Lauren, just don't think AR is that good. Well, Marshall, he's talented. Time will tell. He hasn't played a whole lot. That's what people need to realize. But Billy, I think they got a really good plan for him. But people are going to play well around him. And he says, in general, if AR throws 30 touchdowns and 15 interceptions this year and runs for 600 yards, we are happy with those numbers. Yeah, I think he'll run for more yards than that, quite honestly. He needs to stay healthy. We got people arguing about our quarterbacks now. Greg says 30 TDs, setting your expectations a little high, aren't you? 30 TDs ain't a whole lot these days, Greg, in college football, as much as the ball is thrown and the rules have changed. And you got to remember, they play 12 regular season games. So 30 could be too many, but we'll see. Yes, get the sacrificial lamb and Buddy Martin on the show. That would be great. Buddy would chew him up. Everybody's on Buddy's side. I didn't hear what this guy said, but, well, they read what it was. Lamar's on? Okay, what we're going to do is, because I got a lot to ask Lamar, so I don't want to. Let's go ahead and take another quick timeout. Hang in there, folks. We're getting ready to talk Miami Hurricanes. Get your questions ready for old Lamar Thomas, an old national champion back in the day when Miami was relevant. We're going to take a quick timeout, come back, and we'll be joined by Lamar Thomas.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shops, Dave & Buster's, Regal Cinemas, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Medici's, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2:30, you can get the hottest brunch in town. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're going to go back to the Titan Moore hotline. We're going to go down. This guy wanted to be a Gator, but for some reason he decided not to. From Gainesville, Buchholz. What's up, Lamar? How you doing, my man?
What'd you say in the beginning?
Didn't you want you would have loved to caught balls on Steve Spurrier's offense?
Well, yeah, Coach Spurrier, but you remember I was recruited by Galen Hall, so
Correct.
it was I would have loved that. Again, Spurrier, very offensive minded coach, but obviously you guys had Emmitt Smith and Galen Hall, so I made the decision.
Yeah, Lamar. Before we get started, because I want to talk about what's going on in Miami. You were part of a camp they put on down there, I guess called the Miami Legends Camp. Obviously, it's part of Mario Cristobal's summer camps with his staff, but he brings in former Miami legends to basically run the camp, right? Did you enjoy doing that?
Well, yes. It's been, they've been doing it for a while. They changed the name, obviously, this year to Legends. It was Paradise before. And it gives us an opportunity to be around the guys and coach them a little bit. And, who wouldn't want to be coached by Michael Irvin or, Ed Reed or, Reggie Wayne. There's so many stars down there. Jeremy Shockey, and it's, in the past, it's been a lot of stars. So it's a little thing that we've put together at the University of Miami. And now Mario, again, has come in and changed the name. And it was a different atmosphere. It is a different atmosphere when you walk on that practice field from when it was before.
So let's talk about Mario Cristobal. Obviously, not trying to be funny here, but it's been a while since Miami's been in the hunt and been relevant since back in the days when y'all played. Mario's part of those teams. From a former player standpoint, are you glad to have an old Miami Hurricane guy running the program now?
Yes, I'm excited. Now we've been the king of the off seasons for a couple of years, and so we've pulled these happy feelings out of off season, and then we go into the season and somehow fall apart. The one thing I can say about Mario, I don't know if it's going to be great off the rip. I can't say that. I mean, obviously they recruited well, and we'll talk about that later, but. I can tell you this, from going down there, sitting down with him, asking him questions, talking to him, it reminds me that he has the same vision that a lot of us had or have. When we were kids saying, hey, we want to be a coach here one day if that's what we want to do and what we saw of our coaches. Because I know it's going to hurt his feelings. Like, I coached other places, and, obviously the wins hurt. Hey, one time we lost to Florida up there because Coach Stoops gave up 2 touchdowns secondary, and I was upset. But I wasn't that upset. It wasn't the end of the world. It means something to him to be successful there or to fail there. yeah, you got $8.5 million. That'll help. But I really believe it means something to him, and that's why he's trying to change, first of all, the culture down there. The culture had become some type of country club type atmosphere, not knocking Manny Diaz, but he had never been a head coach before. You know, Mario has. And he's come through the gamut. He's going to Alabama, he's going to Oregon, and now he's back, and we're very excited about it.
We got a Facebook Live question here brought to you by Melvin Law from Lauren. He says, Miami's new offensive coordinator is a friend of mine. Ask Lamar what he thinks of his offense.
So far, Coach Dennis, I like it. I mean, you know, obviously we have some great tight ends down there. Will Mallory, we have a great quarterback. Van Dyke, you know, it's going to be great to watch that ball move around. Obviously, last year we had a great offense. They were able to do some great things on offense. But going down there and watching that spring, we're obviously going to be tight end heavy, running back heavy, and we get some receivers and make some plays. I think we're going to be fine. And obviously, the offensive line definitely has to do their blocking.
We got a really good question here from Andy on Facebook Live. He says, Lamar, can you talk through the process of recruiting Lamar Jackson when you were at Louisville, and where do you rank him now among NFL quarterbacks?
Well, it's funny you say that. I had the conversation with Mario, and we talked about how, and you've seen this, how things have changed, man. I went in there and I recruited Lamar Jackson without giving him a dime. All I did was talk to him about competition. You can't even do that these days. Those parents will probably ask you to leave. You can't say anything about competing for positions because all these kids that they want things handed to them. And obviously we know about the NIL thing. So the payment has to come and the payment has to be right. It's a different type of ball game. But going back to the Lamar Jackson question, it was a great recruiting process to be able to convince Coach Petrino to take him, first of all, and then to reconvince him again when he said, oh, he's only a 3-star, and, you know, basically saying, hey, Coach Petrino, we can't go by stars. You saw the film. What do you think he is? You know, who's giving out these star rankings? Some guy that never played the game. I respect your opinion more than anybody else. And he looked at the film again and said, yeah, you're right, this kid's a player. So it was great recruiting. You know, I love watching him play. I think he's gotten better every year, and I'm talking about since high school. Every year he went in the off season and he put together something to improve on something from last year. You continue to put weapons around this guy. You know, he has tight ends. Now you put some bigger receivers around him. I like the Hollywood guy, but he was just a little too small. As we well know, Shane, those smaller targets don't have a big catch radius. So
True.
If you're not as accurate, you need bigger receivers or guys that have a great catch radius. I think if they put that around him and they don't have as many injuries this year, he can get him a championship at some point. And then once you get a championship, now you're mentioning the great one. You know, unless you're Michael Vick, which I think he's on the path to that too.
We got a text on the Titan Mark text line from Brad, and I don't know if I've ever asked you this either, and I'm curious about it. He goes, Lamar, why did you wear number 36 at Miami?
Well, I wore number 1 in high school against UT Hope, and I got down to Miami, and you know, after I remember saying something to Coach Johnson in the recruiting process about number 1. Obviously, they're going to now know him from being a coach. They'll tell you whatever, and I get down there, and he says, "Well, senior." I said, "Hey, well, I got this number wrong. Did they make a mistake?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right. You only 1, right? Well, that's the senior's number. If you want to take it, go ahead, but it's going to be some consequences. I mean, he's a senior." I said, "Well, okay." And I said, "Well, you know what? It is what it is. Michael Irvin had 47. It's something strange. It's something different." And then Benny Blaze came and punched me in the chest the first game of the season. I was redshirted. He said he was running down the sideline going, "Who's number 36? Who's number 36? And I said, "I am." And he punched me in the chest and he said, "You're going to wear my number. You better be on the field." So I said to myself, I'm going to keep this number and show that big sucker that I am going to be somebody.
Very cool. Very cool. Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking of Lamar Thomas, great for the Miami Hurricanes. Lamar, we've had some people send some texts here, want to know what you're doing nowadays. Obviously, you coach college ball for a long time. Tell everybody what you're doing now.
Well, I'm daddy daycare right now. I got my 3 little girls down here and a son, and we just a newborn. We're just down here, just enjoying things. I mean, we no college right now. Not even want to do high school last year, but what's funny is and I want to give a shout out to my best friend Terrell Buckley. He's was named a head coach of the XFL, and hell, I've sent him my resume about 9 times, and even played golf with him, and he hadn't discussed anything with me. So, Shane, I know you guys got a Pascagoula connection. If you could just slide him a good message for me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I will definitely. Old high school teammate. I know y'all are close. Speaking of the XFL. Yeah. Wasn't the Rock runs that league now, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was on on those teams with you, right?
Yes, he was a freshman.
Was he a very good football player?
Well, I watched his show. He said he was on his show, so I'll go with that. No, I mean, he was a young kid. Obviously, I remember him because his daddy was a professional wrestler. If you grew up in the state of Florida, I don't know about Mississippi, we were all about championship world wrestling. And with Gordon Soley and his dad was one of the main characters. So I took a liking to him because I would always ask him questions about wrestling, not about football, but about wrestling. So, and I would always ask him, "When's your dad coming to practice?" And every time his dad would come, I would go gawk at him and drool and say, "Man, I watched you as a child," and all that other stuff. So, but he was a good kid. I mean, he was. You could tell that he was going to be somebody. We didn't know he was going to be a guy with 900 million followers and all these great movie stars, but you knew he was going to be somebody. He was a little shy at the time, but he got in there and competed with the best of them. So that's all you can ask, competition-wise.
He's done very well. Were you part of that Notre Dame game where they wore the camo? Because somebody asked here, whose idea was it to wear camouflage? Was that during your time?
Actually, that was the Penn State game. That was 87. That was 86, I think. They were going out to play in the Fiesta Bowl, and they wore the camo. And it's crazy. If they win that game, every team is probably wearing camos. It's just that's how it goes. If you win, it's a copycat and everything. But they lost the game. That was the national championship game in 1986 against Penn State, where they rushed. Where Miami was, and this is another tangent, but this is why I don't like the Heisman Trophy being awarded before the season's over, because when you win the Heisman like Benny Testaverde did, Shane, they got to show why this guy wins the Heisman. Penn State rushed 2 people and dropped everybody else, and Miami continued to throw the ball, and that's why they threw all those interceptions.
Yeah. All right, Lamar, let's get to what's going on in college football now. I don't know where you stand on it. On my show, I bitch and complain about the NIL. I have no problem with kids making money on jersey sales, signing autographs, things of that nature. But this buying players has gotten out of hand. And obviously, supposedly, and I still don't believe it, that Miami just paid a lot of money for this kid out of California to come play quarterback for them. And we don't even know. He may never take a snap for your alma mater. Who knows? Where does Lamar Thomas stand on what's going on in college football?
I mean, the first thing I think of when I hear these outlandish numbers is team camaraderie. Because how can you have camaraderie when somebody's going to be making that much money on a college football team? And let's say you've been there for 2 or 3 years, and you've made a lot of plays, and all of a sudden somebody comes in that has never done one thing for your program, and he's making much more. I think it's gonna be hard, and especially because these guys are, and we know, Shane, they're immature. They're college kids. They're just fresh out of high school, really, and they've been sheltered. So to make these type of decisions with emotions, and he's getting more money than me, and all these other things, I think it's the way I would have liked it more, and I was all for thinking that it was going to be about jersey sales and, just helping guys out or, things like that. But, man, it is going far beyond that. It's crazy right now to hear some of the numbers and to see that some of these kids are actually going to base their decisions not on schemes, not on coaches, not on schools, but on that green dollar. And they're going to be hurt. I mean, you're going to take a kid that's a kid that can thrive in the 4-3 defense, and he's going to go to Texas A&M because of the money and play in a 3-4 defense, and it's not his forte, But they're going to do it because of the money, because of the dollar. They're going to hurt themselves. I don't mean to call out Texas A&M. I don't mean to call out Texas A&M, but I know it down in Miami. This is one of the things that Miami was pissed off about at first with the D-lineman, but now Miami's doing all the pissing off, which I've heard.
Yeah. It's interesting. I said, you don't hear or see on social media Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, or Alabama throwing dollars around. Recently it's been A&M, Miami, and Tennessee. Is it just because they want to get their name out there or what? I don't know. But I want to ask you, because you coach college ball for a long time, you know a ton of college coaches across the country. A few that I know, this is driving them insane. Do you think it's going to drive a lot of college coaches out of the game and maybe they just retire and do something else or try to get to the NFL?
I do. I really do think it's going to. I mean, some of these older coaches aren't used to that. I mean, the SEC obviously, it's a different type of recruiting than everyone else. And so with that being said, some of those schools, not saying who, the things are catching up with. It's not that the advantages aren't there anymore. And these kids are saying, hey, if I'm going to take $1 million or let's say 500,000, why am I going to be stuck in Tuscaloosa when I can be in Miami? It's crazy. But I do, going back to your question, I think it's going to drive some coaches away because, again, like I said before, when I had a conversation with Mario, we were talking about it, and I said, man, I recruit a Heisman Trophy winner without giving him a dime, and now, in some way, somehow, that pitch of money has to be thrown in there. I don't know, because I haven't been in these houses recently. I don't know how they do it, or does it come from a different outside third source? But it's amazing to hear all these stories about this team offered this kid $9 million and this other team beat them out because they gave him 500,000 more or something. It's just it's crazy. It's the Wild Wild West. That's what it is.
We got a text here from Billy. He says, Lamar, isn't Miami upgrading their facilities? And being a former player, obviously the Orange Bowl is a special place to play. But do you think it hurts Miami playing in whatever that stadium is called now? He didn't even know what it's called. I don't even know what it's called either.
It's Hard Rock.
Hard Rock, yeah.
I do think I think it has. I mean, it's but you got to make the best of it now. I mean, it's and people can call it what they want. I've even seen Gator fans call it a rented stadium. You want your guys to go play in a rented stadium. It's a professional stadium, but I do think it's hurt fan experience because not experience-wise, but just going. Because Miami is different than Gainesville per se because there's everybody's going to the game. Not down here. People are saying, well, if I got something done, I'm going to do that. And if you're not winning, I'm not showing up. I got something, I'll go to the beach or I'll pick this team or, it's just a different type of vibe down here. And so it has hurt them in that way because we haven't been able to consistently win. And Mario can get this thing back, people will travel and track to that Hard Rock Stadium to watch these games. But if you ain't winning consistently, and I'm talking about winning like 9, 10, 11 ACC championship, being in that or being national champion, they're not going to come. They'll find some reason not to come. And what was our first question that he asked?
I already deleted. Oh, he wanted to know, isn't Miami upgrading their facilities on campus?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's what I know I wanted to answer. Yes, they are. And that's, going down there for the Legends Camp, we had an opportunity to be able to ask Mario some questions as former players, and he was very forthright, and he was like, things have to change. Things have changed. And he continuously said, no disrespect to the staff before us, but I've had to change this thing from a country club to, this is a team. We got to grind, and it's not going to be for everybody. And as we know, winning championships, James, it's about, you got to have depth. You got to have depth. That's how you win championships. You can't just rely on those straight first 22. These seasons are long. Guys are getting bigger and faster. Injuries happen, so you got to have depth. And that's what Mario sees. I got to build depth because you cannot win without depth. Not win the championship. You can't win that. So that's what he's trying to build.
Last question for you here, brought to you by Metal Law. Chris wants me to ask you, is there room on campus to build a little stadium in Coral Gables or no?
Yeah. No, you can't do that. Coral Gables is, first of all, we're landlocked. University of Miami is landlocked. And that person has probably never been down there and would be stunned at how small that school is. I could make it from my dorm, and I know you guys couldn't change, but I could make it to my dorm to the majority of my classes in like a 5-minute walk and not even risk. It's just a very small campus. It's in a circle. So there's no room for that. And even if it was, people of Coral Gables, they're not going to go for that. You can't have your garbage cans out too long. You can't do this. There's no way they would go for that. So we're going to have to find someplace else if that plan is in existence.
So I got one last question before we let you go. Tyler Van Dyke had a really good year last year, and I know you've watched a lot of Miami football. Where would you put him compared to all the great quarterbacks that Miami's had in the past?
Well, I can tell you this. From watching him in the beginning, I said, man, this kid is, I think he could be pretty good. And he turned it up from after those first 2 games, he turned it up to a level of confidence. I mean, the kid played with a lot of confidence. And, I think the sky's the limit for this guy, especially if they continue to put weapons around him. Again, tight ends are a quarterback's best friend a lot of times when you're young. If he can expand on that with those guys on the outside and get a consistent running game, Coach Geddes, he's going to have an outstanding year. And, now I can see why, if they're counting on that, now I can see why Miami's building that quarterback room up, because guys are going to be, hopefully this guy's here 2-3 years and he's going down the road and the next guy takes his place.
Well, Lamar, we appreciate you taking the time to join our program. Some crazy times in college football, and I will call T-Buck for you and see if if he's gotten any of those resumes that you sent him.
Appreciate it. I've had to change my name a couple times. So if he says he's hiring Ronaldo Garcia, that's my Vegas name, by the way.
All right, appreciate it, my man. Be good, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. And go Gators.
Yeah, that's University of Miami, All-American, one of the best wide receivers to ever play there. Lamar Thomas joining our program. We appreciate him taking the time. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you remember that Wednesday, starting next week, we will not have a live show, but we'll have a best of until August 17th, and then we'll get back to 5 days a week. Have a great day, folks, and we will see you tomorrow.